Now that you're up to speed on routing groups in a basic kind of a way, keep in mind there's a lot more here. Let's set a connector between two of them. Let's assume that we've got a server in the first routing group and we've got some servers in the western routing group, and we want to pass information between these. Notice I'm going to have to set a routing group connector up. I'll go to my first routing group, right click on connectors, and choose, for example, a routing group connector. Now we have different kinds, and we won't get into this course about why, but the routing group connector, or any server, and so I'll just leave it at any server. Okay, now notice delivery restrictions. I can determine who can use this routing group. Okay, and I can click add, and I can do searches for users here. Content restrictions. I can allow priorities. I can do system non-messages, non-system messages. I can let certain sizes, only messages less than, say, 4 megabytes, or roughly 4 megabytes, 4,000 kilobytes can go across here. I'd have to get my calculator out. So a lot of things I can do. Delivery options. When will messages be sent through this connector? Anytime? Well, I can customize that and say, how about Mondays from 9 until 2? Okay, I can look at 15-minute intervals. So I can determine how often. Notice I can say every day at midnight, 2 a.m., run every 2 hours. Notice if I've got oversized messages, look, and I want to draw you a little diagram on something you have to be aware of here. We can set a cost on our routing group connectors, and let me go back again. When I get on a connector and I set it up, I can set a cost, and notice the cost right here. This can be from 1 to 100. When I set that up, what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, you can use this connector, but I want you to always look for the lowest cost route. Be careful with this. Let's say that I have 4 routing groups and I have connectors between them. This connector has a cost of 1, this connector has a cost of 20, this connector has a cost of 1, and this one has a cost of 2. Well, if I need to send a mail message from A to B, okay, and here's C and D, and these are my connectors. And routing and so forth. Just be aware of how you build these up. You can inadvertently misdirect your traffic. But that's a routing group connector. Now, you notice there were a number of different routing group connectors, and again, I would point you out to some technical documentation to determine which one you need. Different routing group connectors work better and under different scenarios. And generally, you configure a routing group connector to go out from one group to another. And so on a lot of these, you have to set up like a connector to go from A to B, and then a connector to go from B to A. That's not always true, but just want to give you a little heads up there. So that's routing groups and routing connectors.